Welcome back. In this next chapter on contesting logistics, we will explore the environmental challenges and the industrial ecosystem, as it is clear that supply chains are, without question, the focal points of these efforts, and their resilience is the new measure of power. In the new era in logistics warfare, what you see is not just a title, it's a call to action. The days of predictable logistics are over. Today, every node and every link is a potential target. Recent history shows that adversaries no longer just attack our forces, they target our ability to sustain them. Look at the disruptions we've seen. Cyber attacks on ports, sabotage of rail networks, and economic coercion directed at key suppliers. But here's the key point. Logistics is now a crucial aspect of modern warfare. Our capacity to move, sustain, and adapt determines success. My presentation serves a purpose to challenge all of us to rethink our approach, not as logisticians, but operators, entrepreneurs, business owners, and commanders. Ultimately as strategists shaping the battlefield before the first shot is fired. Let's begin assessing and shaping the operational environment. Here we paint a vivid picture, from the Arctic's tundra to the shifting sands of deserts, from mountains to jungles. Each environment requires unique logistics solutions. But it's not just about terrain. Examine the political, economic, and social factors outlined here. Climate change, for example, is not just an environmental issue, it's a logistics multiplier. Rising sea levels threaten ports, extreme weather disrupts supply routes, and infrastructure vulnerabilities become glaring weaknesses. Data from recent military operations show that over 60% of logistics delays are caused by environmental or infrastructure challenges. This slide reveals an important truth. Logistics involves more than just moving boxes. It's about understanding the full range of risks and opportunities in every setting and designing supply chains that can adapt, endure, and succeed. From the logistics lessons we learned in recent years in Europe, I find that the most significant challenges seemingly arise from the complexity of multinational logistics, including diverse policies, legal frameworks, and infrastructure standards. The graphic illustrates choke points, ports, rail hubs, bridges that serve as both essential lifelines and potential liabilities. We've seen how hybrid threats, such as cyber attacks, disinformation, and economic pressure, can exploit these vulnerabilities, weakening alliance cohesion and delaying response times. The 2022 rail disruptions in Eastern Europe, how a single cyber attack delayed military reinforcements for days. But there is hope. We can highlight solutions. Strong public-private partnerships, layered defense, and ongoing multinational exercises. This is a call to action. Logistics is a team effort. Only through unified effort and digital integration can we secure and deliver, regardless of the threat. Let's turn our focus on how climate change impacts logistics. Don't think about just the weather. Think in terms of strategic and operational risks that must be considered in any planning and monitoring during execution. Examine the data. Sea level rise, extreme weather events, Arctic thaw, water scarcity, and infrastructure damage. Each factor acts as a threat multiplier. Recent studies show that climate-related disruptions have doubled over the past decade, leading to billions of dollars lost from delayed or destroyed shipments. What I want you to see from this is that climate change isn't just a challenge for us and you, but also an opportunity for us to innovate and build resilience, or to use these events to benefit ourselves at the expense of our adversaries. The tagline simply states what we need to do differently, or at least better. That is, design, divert, and deliver differently, building a diverse set of supply chains that are as resilient as they are responsive. To understand what we need to design, divert, and deliver, we have to challenge our assumptions and think like an adversary. Now, let's explore mapping the industrial ecosystem. What you see here is a living map illustrating key components, sustainability, governance, resilient strategies, and emerging trends. Examine the supply chain tiers from raw materials to final products. Each layer is a potential failure or an opportunity. The COVID-19 pandemic taught us hard lessons. A single semiconductor shortage halted global auto production. But this slide reveals more. It's about understanding the entire network, actors, stakeholders, geographic footprints, and critical infrastructure. The insight: understand your network is about owning your advantage. I challenge you to see beyond the obvious by spotting gaps, seizing the edge, and turning hidden dependencies into strategic strengths. Let's talk about you. our actors and stakeholders. This slide breaks down the team: prime contractors, suppliers, logistics providers, government agencies, allied partners, and research institutions. Each plays a critical role. For example, during the 2021 Suez Canal blockage, it was the collaboration between shippers, governments, and insurers that kept global trade moving. The insight here is clear: logistics is a team sport. Every stakeholder, every step matters. Our strengthened and broad partnerships worldwide expand our strategic influence, ensure operational resilience, and provide the right team with a tempo of dominance. Therefore, the focus here is on building partnerships, sharing intelligence, and aligning incentives across the whole ecosystem. Now, geographic footprint and supply chain tiers. Mapping the terrain is not an easy task, especially given the global scope and risks of modern supply chains. However, with the right framework and ingenuity, it becomes less challenging if we can agree on methodologies and priorities. Consider some of the classic choke points: strategic waterways, manufacturing hubs, and distribution centers. All of these emphasize the tiered structures behind them, starting with raw materials at the bottom and progressing through sub-assemblies, major systems, and final integration. There are many opportunities for disruption and for protection as well. Recent military operations in the Indo-Pacific show how layered dependencies can make risk management more complex, and how visibility and collaboration clearly act as force multipliers. So I ask you, does your operation, your business, your strategic planning prepared for cascading disruptions? If so, then to what end? Here's the action. Every tier, every mile, we need to secure the chain in order to shape the fight. Or in offensive logistics contestation efforts, we need to expose and exploit vulnerabilities. Next, critical infrastructure, tech integration, and dual-use assets. Here is the core and the focus of contested logistics: transport networks, energy systems, communications, and IT. Technology is a double-edged sword: AI, the Internet of Things, and automation. These modernization efforts bring tools to optimize operations, but also create new vulnerabilities. So we need to plan ahead and proactively mitigate risks by investing in the most likely issues. Our risk management programs should demonstrate active agility and navigation, focusing on what would be most damaging if these threats materialize. That's what predictive truly means: using intelligence combined with an action plan laid out from the start. Examine the dual-use assets, including shared suppliers, convertible manufacturing capabilities, and a workforce with skills that cover both civilian and military needs. Recent cyber attacks on critical infrastructure highlight the importance of collaborative defense due to interdependence. The insight: resilience depends on redundancy and flexibility. Therefore, we need to develop networks that are both secure and intelligent. Now on to vulnerabilities and challenges, risk mitigation, and opportunities. Let's quickly review basic frameworks for addressing multidimensional risks: supply chain disruptions, cybersecurity threats, workforce shortages, and economic instability. Any well-thought-out framework points to solutions, including diversification, redundancy, improved visibility, and stronger supplier relationships. Recent research shows that companies with layered mitigation strategies recover twice as quickly from disruptions. Consider the chain of effects this has in terms of cost, investments, long-term viability, and success, but more importantly, the effectiveness it provides to the young men and women serving on the front lines. The insight: adversity reveals new opportunities. Here is the challenge for you: turn your gaps into gains, capture the advantage through proactive, layered strategies. Next, governance and sustainability. This slide highlights the importance of effective governance policy and standards. Look at the ESG frameworks. Environmental, social, and governance principles are now essential strategic priorities. The graphic also highlights the circular economy, emphasizing sustainable sourcing, waste reduction, and green manufacturing. Recent case studies demonstrate that companies integrating ESG principles outperform their peers in terms of resilience and profitability. The insight: long-term resilience depends on continuous improvement and public-private collaboration. We must govern smart and sustain strong. Turning to the industrial protection framework, I offer a blueprint for resilience in the face of multi-domain disruption. Consider the basic scenario: a near-peer adversary targeting supply chains with cyber, economic, and kinetic attacks. your framework, map and monitor, collaborate and coordinate, adapt and sustain. And build it out from there. Oversimplified perhaps, but the devil is in the details. However, I believe this will get you on the trail that is tailored for you. Recent military industry stress tests have demonstrated that digital twins and fusion cells can effectively simulate disruptions and facilitate rapid responses. The insight? A strong nervous system equals an unbreakable defense, and certainly an overwhelming offense. The challenge that is yours is to transform from a reactive to an anticipatory approach that implements logistics intelligence so that you may leverage the entire industrial ecosystem and moving from the head, scratching to an energized and meaningful path into the future. Now let's dig a bit into a study I did on integrated approach for increased effects. This is about the integration and leveraging of diplomatic, informational, military, economic, financial, intelligence, and law enforcement, also known as lawfare. I want to illustrate the effectiveness of multi-lever combinations, including cyber attacks, financial sanctions, naval blockades, proxy force attacks, and disinformation. The graphic illustrates how integrated actions amplify impact, creating chaos, resource depletion, and complete isolation for adversaries. The combinations generate countless options for our executive branch that brings unified outcomes and effects and measured approach to escalation risk management. Recent wargaming has shown that the most effective responses are those that combine multiple domains and tools. The insight, integrated actions equals amplified impact. So we have to get out of boxes to think and act across domains, because in logistics contestation dominance, every lever matters. You'll see this slide over and over again because the emphasis, the role of the modern logistician, cannot be understated. Look at the roles here that require growth and change. Tech-savvy strategists, partnership navigators, risk managers, data-driven decision makers, strategic innovators, ultimate strategic orchestrators. Despite technological advancement, the human dimension is more critical than ever when it comes to human and machine teaming. If you were to examine the successes and failures of recent operations, you would find that the most successful logicians are those who integrate technology, build alliances, and adapt to new threats. The insight? The modern logistician is a commander's pathfinder who should be employed to shape the future of logistics warfare and lead efforts for strategic integration across the domains and functions of contemporary warfare. Our training and education pathway needs an examination, so as to build a pathway for the young logisticians to build to this level of expertise. Now I would like to discuss talent shortage and workforce resilience in logistics. Be aware that there is a global challenge here, a shrinking talent pool, intense competition for tech-savvy talent, and rapidly evolving skill requirements. This challenge is not without solutions, including aggressive recruitment, upskilling, public-private academic partnerships, and an intentional effort for continuous learning. Recent workforce analytics indicate that investing in targeted recruitment and upskilling is the most effective way to ensure a resilient, future-ready logistics workforce. So let's invest in this critical piece of hardware. The insight, workforce resilience is the foundation of logistics resilience. I want to emphasize something paramount to our success in logistics contestation, which is to close the joint and service logistics seams. What is revealed are the risks of fragmented logistics, coordination gaps, delays, and vulnerabilities that adversaries can exploit. Look at the examples. Europe, the Indo-Pacific, Africa, and the U.S. home front. Each region faces unique challenges. The graphic shows the need for multinational integration, clear roles, and joint investment. Recent multinational exercises have demonstrated that seamless logistics integration is not only possible but also essential. The insight, no seams, no stalls, speed for the fight. This slide requires us to close the gaps and establish a unified logistics network. Now allied and coalition logistics. I highlight the power of interoperability and integration. Consider the following examples: NATO enhanced forward presence, EU military mobility, and the US-Japan-Australia trilateral. My graphic shows how joint exercises, shared digital platforms, and civil-military integration enable rapid reinforcement and sustainment. Recent operations have shown that harmonized border procedures and standardized infrastructure reduce transit times by up to 40%. The insight, united logistics, unstoppable sustainment. Our critical challenge in terms of unity of effort is to build alliances that are as strong as our supply chains. And we have much work to do. Let's talk about aligning combat and support cultures. No one can disagree that there have always been cultural gaps, misaligned planning assumptions, resource conflicts, and communication breakdowns. We see it in every formation and organization. That in itself points us to solutions, including joint training, cross-functional assignments, enhanced logistics representation, and shared metrics. Recent force design efforts have shown that aligning cultures is essential for operational effectiveness. The insight, alignment, and mutual support equal winning together in every domain. A unified culture of logistics excellence does this. Next, cybersecurity workforce development. I see a critical need for cyber talent in logistics, and we aren't necessarily discussing it as much as it should be, at least not as a priority. Yes, it is hard to do. Examining the challenges. Recruiting and retaining cyber logisticians, integrating cyber and logistics at all levels, upskilling, addressing burnout, and mitigating insider threats. But mission essential. If you genuinely have a mindset that only sees solutions, then this discussion should point to cyber scholarships, joint exercises, continuous training, and automated monitoring. Any recent benchmark will indicate that annual upskilling and rapid incident response are crucial for achieving cyber resilience. So why not do it? The insight, logistics cyber resilience is only as strong as the people behind the screen. It can't be any simpler than that. We need to see across all services and partner nations that our cyber workforce is a priority for investment, because every link in the chain must be secure. I will conclude the chapter with some reflection, followed by a call to action. Consider the questions listed under adversary countermeasures, policy and legal frameworks, information operations, workforce pipelines, continuous wargaming, metrics and measurement, investment, and innovation. Each question represents a challenge and an opportunity for any one of us to solve. Recent research and real-world experience show that the most resilient logistics ecosystems are those that anticipate, adapt, and innovate. The insight, every link, every layer, victory is a system. So I leave you here to ask that we collectively think, act, and lead with purpose, because the future of logistics is inextricably linked to the future of security, prosperity, and peace. Please stay with me in this series as we move on to Contesting Logistics Part 5, when we talk about synchronizing national power.